And then let's get it started. So, thank you everybody for joining today. I'm excited to talk a little bit about how search on the internet is changing dramatically. And I know a lot of the interest in this talk is the fact that we don't know much about ChatGPT. It came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, here we are. We've got leads coming to websites. We've got more and more business being passed on the internet, and the search arena has been shifting very quickly. So. Let's start with who is me? Why is Heather talking today? Well, a little bit about me. So this is me starting out as a young kid at MIT. Believe it or not, my first job was in marketing, but it was very different back then. And when I got into MIT, I became a scientist. So I took about a decade of becoming a cancer researcher. I got to live and work in India, live and work in Japan, and then I came down here for grad school. I did my PhD at Johns Hopkins, and I did my cancer research at the National Institutes of Health. But as many of my clients know, I graduated at a time with a PhD that was arguably worse than today to get a job. Everybody was on a hiring freeze. We lost all of our funding overnight. And so I also had this small little child named Ethan, who's not a small child anymore. And I went into sales to have a little bit of better life balance. I found out that I was very good in sales. I understood the science of all the products that I was selling. And as I mentioned in the chat earlier, my last job in sales before starting my own agency was selling Botox and fillers to plastic surgeons and dermatologists. In that space, they all were asking for help with their marketing. And then these are my whys. This is Bobby, who is now almost a year. I can't believe it. Marie, who's 5, and Ethan, who is 15. He no longer looks like this. His hair is a lot longer, but he's still a football player, about to undergo shoulder surgery to then be able to play football and baseball again. But he'll be running track this winter, and he amazes me every day with the things that he does. And then this is my husband, Rob. He's active duty military and on his last assignment. Oh, hold on. Let's go back. On his last assignment before he retires from the military. And believe it or not, one of the secrets to my success has been the military spouse community. 90% of the people who work for BlueHuki are military associated in some fashion and manner because they are phenomenal people. So BlueHuki, who are we? Less drift, more waves in your marketing. These are our winning values. So these are the values that we run the company with, we hire on, and we very much so believe makes us successful. We're inquisitive by nature, we're reliably excellent, we are creative mavericks, and we're data informed and strategic with what we do. And as you can see, I went from mad scientist to maverick marketer. So
I lost you.
things have not, yes.
You like disappeared there for a second. You're good
Oh,
now.
okay, perfect. Thank you. I went from bad scientist to maverick marketer, and as you can see, with how many things change in the marketing arena, it is very much so you want to be a scientist online and you want a scientist running your marketing. All right, so a couple of questions. When was the last time you Googled your business? And what if your next customer asked ChatGPT and it named you on ChatGPT as the resource that they should do business with? Well, that's why we're here today. So the shift from search to ChatGPT, and this isn't going to say that ChatGPT is going to take over everything, but you should know that 80% of consumers are using AI for about 40% of their searches now. Web traffic has decreased by up to 30%, and this actually is true from our internal data for people that are not running strategies right now. AI referral traffic has grown by about 40% monthly, and then traffic to retailer websites from AI has increased 1,200%, which is crazy. But when you go from very little to a lot, that's what you see. And then a stat, over 100 million people are using ChatGPT weekly. That's a lot of users, and that's a lot of adoption of a new technology very quickly. So how does ChatGPT search the web? You first have to kind of understand a little bit about what is ChatGPT doing when it's making a recommendation. The number one thing it's doing is what's called a common crawl. So just like you would go on to Google and make a search, ChatGPT is going on to Bing. Yes, it uses Bing's API to search Bing to find recommendations for you on your behalf. And then you can see there's a couple of other sources that it's using, web text, books, Wikipedia, but the vast majority is ChatGPT is just crawling the web just like you would. All right. So who does ChatGPT recommend? There are some key AI trust signals that it's looking for. So it's looking for authority. So are you cited by reputable sources? Clarity, is your content structured for AI? Relevance, are you tied to your niche online? And then authenticity, do your reviews and bios match your expertise in the space? All right, so let's dive into the meat of this presentation, 5 practical steps to make AI recommend you online. Number one, claim and align your profiles. So, this is actually particularly important for ChatGPT on Bing. If you have not claimed your Bing profile, ChatGPT is using Bing's API to search. And so that is one that you may have overlooked in the past that you do need to have. But in general, what it's saying here is that you got to make sure that your presence online aligns and that you're in all of the places you possibly can be, which can be a little bit of overwhelming thing to do if you're doing it manually. But there are technologies now that will help you do this on a larger basis. Step number two, create readable content. So Q&As, blogs, FAQ sections, all of this content is again crawled by ChatGPT, just like it is for Google search. So having the right answers and the right keywords on your website is even more important to ChatGPT as it is to Google. Earn mentions and links. So this includes podcasts, awards, collaborations, other websites mentioning you and talking about you. So this again is actually one of the best strategies for Google as well too. So mentions and links are just important for ChatGPT. Add structured data. This one's a little bit, technical detail for you, but this is part of the coding side of what you need to do on your website. Schema markup is something that allows the different search engines, so Google as well as ChatGPT, to understand the type of data you have. So that's doing these markups for your FAQs, doing these markups for your website, so it knows who you are and what you're offering. Then finally, use AI to test your visibility. So ask ChatGPT who it recommends in your space. See why it's recommending them, the kind of information it's trying to pull from the internet, and then that's your cue that you need to be adding that information to your website. So believe it or not, our team, when we're testing out some of these theories, we're looking at what is AI pulling and what does it need in order to recommend somebody online, and therefore let's feed it the information it needs so that it'll recommend you. It sounds very obvious, but it's one of those things that you just have to connect all the dots to get there. However, I want to make this point, and everyone who knows me knows that I make this point actually fairly frequently. The human touch still wins. So AI mirrors credibility, it doesn't invent it. So your online footprint has to show trust. And what this means is that you have to be you have to feed ChatGPT the information that allows it to really sell you. And so what this means is if you're the best at what you do, you need to tell ChatGPT and your website and your audience why you are the best. It's not just that you have 10 years of experience, right? That type of stuff falls flat. You want to talk more about like what it is specifically that you do well that'll give ChatGPT the information to say, you know what, you should go with them because they have these things that are different from the competition that make them a great business. Um, get the 5 step visibility blueprint. So I'll pause here for a moment. Feel free to scan to download this blueprint to then execute some of these ideas in a more detailed way from our website. Also, after the meeting, I will be posting the video here of the actual talk itself so that you can revisit that talk. So this page will have all the information post meeting if you want to revisit, watch the talk again, etc. And then I'll also send it out via email as well too. So if you didn't get that, not a big deal. What is a winning strategy worth? So these are just some examples of big wins that we've had. 90% reduction in lead costs, 300% increase in web traffic, 5x local rankings, 10x conversions, just by relaunching a website. One of the big ones here is we ran our Q3 results and we saw that there was almost a 40% differential between not only visibility, but also clicks to a website if you're running a strategy with us versus not running a strategy at all. And in the bucket where there were folks that were not running strategies, there were some very well-established businesses that were losing traction online very quickly to the order of, I believe we only had 3 customers or clients in the negative over that quarter versus there were only 3 positive movement in the group that were non-clients. So that was how big and how dramatic the difference was between running a strategy right now and not. And that's only in a 3-month period, which tells you how quickly the search strategy online is changing. All right. So if you are looking for a solution for this, we are it. So schedule a quick connect. You can click the QR code here to schedule a quick connect to learn a little bit more about what we're doing, how we're helping people modernize their strategies, and more. But I want to thank everyone again for joining the meeting today. It has been great to see everybody from quite a number of years. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Heather. That was awesome. And I think you even have some clients on here who are telling us about how